Hey, what's going on, everyone? Vic Wheezy here. I just want to go over this board state of the game here in round 7 for allies. I feel like there's a lot to talk about and some learning points in this game that I'm going to go over. So in this video, I just want to highlight what Russia's doing, what UK is doing, and what US is doing, and what that looks like overall. So a couple things about this board state is it's an even game, 188 to 170. Allies do have a decent lead. I am playing a top 10 or former top 10 Axis opponent. A couple things to notice: he did not stack round 1 Karelia with Germany, which I thought was a mistake. And my round 1, I lost 4 infantry, and then Ukraine was pretty normal. I took it. So he chose not to stack Karelia, and I think that kind of set him behind. He did go for India round 5, and this was the results of that. Defenders lost 9 infantry, a gun. I lost 3 tanks, 4 artillery, 2 fighters. He retreated with a bomber and fighter and lost 14 infantry, 6 artillery, 2 fighters, and a bomber. Since then, I've made adjustments and or continued fortifying India, and now he has less than 10% odds to conquer. Okay, so what did I do as Russia this game to get in this position? Notice I have a 2-to-1 buy for infantry to artillery. I have roughly 20 infantry and 11 artillery, so that's roughly 2-to-1. And that's good. It keeps Russia aggressive but also defensive. That gives me the best attacking power as well. So if you have 100 ICPs to spend, buy it all on infantry and artillery. You know, if in theory, if you wanted the best attacking power, even better than a bomber in there. So Russia also held. I also held West Russia for 3 rounds or so before I think I got kicked out. It may have even been longer than that. But then I prioritized India since he was going for that. It is important to know that Japan has now purchased the East Indies IC, which isn't always a bad move. I know I played against Quentin when he was Axis, and he tried this out to good effect. However, in this game, I think it's rather limited in his options. All right, what's UK doing? I did not. He attacked C-Zone 10 and cleared out my destroyer, and he cleared out my destroyer, my fleet in C-Zone 7. So I have no destroyers. I do have 2 cruisers and aircraft carrier and a fighter, and that's pretty much the bulk of my fleet versus 5 fighters and a bomber. And I just recently bought an aircraft carrier and added that to C-Zone 5, and then popped my fighter I bought last turn for US on there. The cruisers, I've used those cruisers last round, and I got lucky, but I got a little bit above average, which was cool. Let's see. I attacked Germany and bombarded, and he lost 3 infantry, while I lost some artillery and infantry. So if there's no targets to attack, then I will often hit it with bombardment. I made a slight mistake, and I should have bought 5 infantry and artillery. That would give me the much nicer curb appeal when hitting with the cruisers and bombarding. All right. Also, as I mentioned before, West Russia was protected for about up to round 5, and then I kicked out of West Russia, and I retreated, and that allowed me to send more to India because I couldn't hold both West Russia and India. I think a common mistake Allies players will make is they think they have to hold West Russia and hold India, but really prioritize India first if you can. Unless you got diced and you know Germany's going to stack West Russia and then kill you the next turn, then you definitely want to prioritize Moscow and just evacuate India. But in most games, that would be over anyway. So that's what I did with UK. All right, there's a lot to talk about with US, especially the MedShuck. I know a lot of people on Discord are saying, how do you do MedShuck and cover from all these areas? Because this bomber can hit C-Zone 13, 15, 16, 3, 8, 5, and then there's fighters up here that can hit C-Zone 3 if I'm not defending it properly. So one good thing to do is he left Italy and Southern Europe lightly defended. I really should have dropped an artillery in here, but that's a slight little mini mistake, just a little inefficiency, not really a bad mistake. And that way it would allow me to bring 2 transports with 4 units instead of 3 transports with 4 units. That just makes me a little bit inefficient there. So a good thing to do is if you feel like you can't protect C-Zone 13 and 15, well, consolidate and see if you can protect your ships in just C-Zone 15 and bring that battleship or whatever you were defending with in C-Zone 13 to C-Zone 15. And let's say he had these territories stacked. You could leave troops here for a turn or two, 1 turn, and then what that does is it allows you to springboard into Ukraine and into Bulgaria and attack there. Then you want to provide slightly good odds on your ships here, so Germany has to trade out some aircraft. All right, this is kind of a new thought I had, but it's kind of this bomber theory, and I got it from playing against Toadstem. And I already kind of had this a little bit in my mind, but he really helped solidify that. Toadstem would buy bombers with Japan, and he wouldn't really do a bombing raid on Russia, which I thought was interesting. He'd kind of just preserve his bombers and move forward infantry and trade off that. I find that's kind of helpful with US. If you buy a bomber or 2, hold on to them. Don't really do any bombing raids. Definitely bombing raids if you're behind. You need to catch up. But if you've kind of got an even game, you can really use these bombers to help trade territories in the Med. Landing down here, you can attack France, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, landing back in UK, 6. But I really like the bomber's flexibility when I have a sub here and he's got to send more ships. I can even buy 2 subs or 3 subs. I know that sounds kind of inefficient, but Jan, arguably one of the best Allies players, will do this to dead zone Hawaii and keep Japan off of his coast. I don't know how many subs he goes up to, but I think at least 2 subs plus a bomber or 2 can ward off a lightly escorted Japan Navy. And I did stack my sub trying to kill his destroyer and sub. I'll take those odds and trying to kill 2 transports. Also with US, what are you doing with your early turns? In most games, surprisingly, I'm not stacking Norway early on. There's just so much to do, and I don't get to that until about round 6 or 7 in most games, unless Germany is pushing into West Russia, and then I'm going here to Finland. But if Germany just hangs in Karelia, I'm like, okay, cool. You just hang out there. I'm going to get my other errands done, and I'm going to unload in Africa, make sure I'm secure here. A lot of times in the games, I find myself having to unload in Africa because the UK units in Egypt must go, or in Transjordan, excuse me, must go east to protect India, especially from a aggressive Japanese players. So I got an IC, an industrial complex for US in turn 3. That helps out. I did move these troops up here to Greenland. Now, why is that a good thing other than trying to look cute and drop off troops in Greenland? Well, not too long ago, he had 8 out of 9 victory cities. And even though I felt comfortable that he wouldn't get 9 out of 9, let's just say he got lucky and hit India. He's already captured Hawaii. So that would give him 9 out of 9, and I'd be in desperation mode. This just gives me one more option to do. I can bring these 3 ships and strike at Karelia if he's not stacking it well enough, along with 5 plus 6, 11, and then 2 fighters in this range. Also, these transports can come down and help hit France. So that's 6 transports, 7, 8, 9 transports. Although there's only 4 units here that could hit France as well. So I feel pretty comfortable that he can't defend all those spots, and it just makes him work a lot. So those are pretty much the takeaways with each power. And then as an overall whole, I'm just looking to hold the critical areas as allies. I'm trying to hold India. I'm trying to hold West Russia if I can. And then eventually, since he's not really moving here, I don't have to worry about Kazakh. But Kazakh is another big territory that after, once the Axis try to stack, and if they stack this, that's kind of the equivalent of the Allies stacking France almost. And then they slide into Caucasus, and then they can pressure Moscow and even move to West Russia and go for Karelia for a VC win. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for Allies play.